Birmingham, as well as around the state, but most importantly in the city of Birmingham. So as a result, there were a number of bills in that package. I am a part of that team, however, because of my practice, I had a lot of things that were going on, but we knew that the bills that needed to be covered would be covered. I want to make full disclosure with that, and I thank the Speaker for that. But today, we're here to discuss HB 287, and as I mentioned, many of you have called to enact it. It will require a mandatory reporting by municipalities to ALEA with regards to the number of sworn A-post certified officers that have the responsibility to protect and serve the streets for which they have taken an oath. There has been an issue in some areas, in some communities in which the numbers of sworn officers is at issue. The question of whether or not you have a need for 233 officers to make your law department ripe or to make it more responsive versus needing 700 to 600 officers. We know we have a shortage of officers, but what we do know is to address that issue properly and to also equip the community with what they need. We must have and know what the true number of sworn law enforcement officers are, and that should never be something that is non-disclosable and made such by leadership in any municipality. We have seen that time and time again in several municipalities, and it has become a very concerning issue to many. The Speaker, one, because he's now pushing a package of bills, and the question that continues to come up every time is the number of sworn officers, in particular in the city of Birmingham. And this is very concerning, not only to the Speaker, but to myself, as well as to other lawmakers. Representative Treadaway, a very learned professional in the field of law enforcement. But with this bill, when passed, it will require, and there is a sub, it will require the reporting. So the sub, because I received calls from ALEA and others that the bill needed to go a little bit further to be somewhat punitive for non-compliance. And with that said, with the sub that I will present tomorrow, it will require that a municipality report. This bill goes into effect 30 days after it is signed into law. That municipality will have 60 days to report and to clear up any ambiguities in the numbers. And then next year they will begin on an annual reporting. The bill will also, in the sub, require crime statistics. Currently in the city of Birmingham, ALEA has intimated that Birmingham, that is showing in their system only 65 reported deaths from last year in the city of Birmingham. This is very concerning, and when we all know that we reached beyond the numbers from 1933 at a maximum capacity of deaths that broke the record. So this type of information will have to be included in these crime statistics, must be in the report. Also, for failure to do so, your funding that you receive, any grant fundings that you receive from ADECA, will be stalled until such time that those numbers come in to the state, to our Alabama law enforcement agency. This will also go to Attorney General Steve Marshall and to a commission that will make sure that those numbers are in place and that they are reported with accuracy. And we will no longer tolerate anyone fudging these numbers for self-promotion. This is a very serious matter. We're dealing with the lives of people every day, and citizens deserve a right to make decisions for themselves as to where they go, knowing that there may not be enough officers. And let me say this, I respect law enforcement. I thank a police officer, every time I see him, I say thank you, or her. And so we are taking this thing with crime serious, and the most important issue right now on the table, outside of trying to pass that scholarship fund, this gun bill, the Glock bill, is to make sure that we know what we're dealing with.
Will these numbers be public knowledge or only go to these agencies? Will there be a public
They
report?
should go to the agencies, but in the bill, I am going to be requesting that they be made public and be a part of the public record. We're looking at transparency. This is a serious issue, and as I've said, it appears to me that some are playing Russian roulette with the lives of those who live in certain municipalities, and my point is always made, who's next? This is very serious. This is no time to sugarcoat numbers to make it appear that you have a greater number of law enforcement than what you have. We're dealing with sworn law enforcement officers, boots on the ground. This is a very critical issue, and phony, fake press conferences and bringing individuals together when they don't really know what your motive is, no, we're not going to accept that any longer.
Often when we've asked about numbers, we've been told we couldn't have the number of law enforcement officers because it was a safety issue. It could, give criminals an idea of what the force looks like. What's your response to that?
My response to this is very simple. A few weeks ago, I was on a panel, and one of the stations, may have been yours, spoke with an OG, an original gangster back. Listen, someone who had been incarcerated before, and he started teaching and going through certain things. And the first thing he said was, the criminals already know the numbers. They case out headquarters. They case out communities. These things that we're trying to keep concealed from the public, the criminal already knows. Listen, but with that being said, when you have over 150 something murders in one city, that goes out the window because, listen, keeping it concealed isn't working.
Representative Givan, one thing, we can probably guess a short list of people that hate the bill, but have you heard any actual official pushback, people opposing it for one reason or another?
No, and believe it or not, I have not. First of all, because you're going to have to then say why you don't want to be transparent. So even if something comes and there may be an amendment to this particular issue or that particular issue, you cannot deny the importance. Representative Treadaway signed this bill right out the chute. He said this is the best, actually, if not the best bill aside from the Glock that we should have gotten in the package. But it became such an issue, and it already was, but obviously over the course of the past few days, there have been questions about the numbers. Because then you begin to ask, and this was the question that the speaker asked to me, well, if one city is saying they have X amount of officers, but yet they don't, but then on the books it appears that they have 800 officers or 600 officers, but the realization is they don't. He said, where's the money? What's the fiscal accountability? So this is a bigger picture than not. And we have a duty. Listen, again, whatever we're doing is not working. People call my office every day now. Ms. Givan, I noticed that I have not seen a law enforcement officer. I'm in a community 3 hours, 4 hours. So it's helping them, again, to make wise decisions. So I pray that this bill passes out. These recommendations, actually to be more punitive, came from Aaliyah. I was very surprised because they're concerned, especially when they say to me, Representative Givan, we're only showing 65 deaths, murders on the books, when everybody knows that's not true. Accountability and telling the people the truth is what matters, and not when it's convenient for you or to bolster, your credibility. No, it's a serious matter, and I take this serious, and I'm thankful that I was asked to carry this piece of legislation because people are dying every day. And again, the question is, who's next? Any more questions?
Thank you, Representative.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Representative.
Thank you.